इंग्लिश में नसीहत करेंगे कि इन्होंने क्या करना है, इनका मुस्तकबिल क्या होना चाहिए, कुरान हकीम को किस तरह अपनी ज़िंदगी में इन्होंने मंजिल के साथ वाबस्ता रहना है और कुरान हकीम सुनाने का एहतमाम जो है वो करना है। मौलाना हाफिज़ फैसल यकूबी साहिब, नारे तकबीर, नारे रिसालत, जश्न मिलादुन्नबी, इनके 2-3-4 मिनट के बयान के बाद एक नात होगी, फिर किबला शाह साहब का बयान होगा, उसके बाद नमाज पढ़ेंगे, दुआ होगी और जो लंगर शरीफ है वो आप सब इसमें शामिल होंगे। ये खुशी का मामला है, आखिरी दुआ में ज़रूर शिरकत करनी है। जाए कोई
नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली व नुसल्लिमु अला रसूलिहिल करीम व हुवा बिल मुमिनीना रऊफ़ुर रहीम। अम्मा बअद, फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। Honorable Sadati Kiram, Ulama-e Kiram, elders, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The time is very late and I don't intend to be a barrier for very long between yourselves and Qibla Shah Sahib. The barakat of the Sadat are their own barakat, so I don't want to be a barrier for very long. I address just the Hufaz very quickly in the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, words that you've heard. I'm not talking to them, I'm talking to you four. Words that you've heard from the ulama. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, and think of him as speaking to you, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ, that the best of you are those who study the Quran. And then if that was the measure, then he would have stopped there. He would have said that the best of you are those who study the Quran, and that's it. But he didn't. The Prophet ﷺ, he said to all of us, but to you four specifically now, وَعَلَّمَهُ, that the best of you are those who study the Quran and then go on to teach the Quran. The turbans that are on your heads, these are a sign of honor, but they're also now a responsibility. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he also said, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً, that pass on from me even if it's one verse. Even if you've learned one verse of the Quran from your teachers, your job now is to pass it on. Your job now is to pass it on to the next generation, your students, and the people after them, and the people after them. Because remember, as the Prophet ﷺ also said, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ, that all of you are leaders, you're shepherds, or everyone has a responsibility, and everybody will be held to account based on their responsibility. And I finish on these words as a general address. Everyone has been given a responsibility. Allah Ta'ala has given the ulama-e kiram ilm. Their duty is to pass on that knowledge. If they don't pass that knowledge on, Allah will hold them to account that we gave you knowledge. You graduated from the madrasa, you studied with the ulama, yet you kept it to yourselves. But this is a matter between them and Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala has given some of us money. The duty on those people who have been given money is to spend your money in the way of Allah. Because when you stand before Allah, Allah will ask each and every one of us, I gave to you, where did you spend it? Allah has given many of us health. One of the first things on the Day of Judgment that we will be asked is, where did you spend your health that I gave you? This ni'mah of health, where did you spend it? Those of us who are healthy, use your health in the way of Allah. Because as the Prophet ﷺ in a different narration, he mentioned the idea of taking use of ni'mah before it's taken away from you. 5 before 5, the famous narration that many of you will be aware of. The duty upon all of us as a collective, alim, ghair alim, general person, khas, awam, whoever it may be. And this is something that you've heard me say time and time again, and I will say it time and time again. In our communities, Oldham, Bradford, places elsewhere, our youngsters are leaving Islam. Be under no false impressions. Be under no false security. Don't think that just because their dad is a namazi, just because their dad is Haji Sahab, Chaudhry Sahab, Fulan Sahab, who's in the masjid. I guarantee you, and I talk with experience, I wish I didn't, but there are people who their fathers and their mothers are in the masjid reading namaz, and those same children are at home, have left Islam. I've had these messages, and if you think I'm exaggerating, I've had these messages in the last few weeks as well, and the weeks before that, and the weeks before that, and they're only going to get worse. So the collective duty on them, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً, the collective duty on the ulama to teach, the collective duty on the awam and the people of money to spend in the way of Allah, but the collective duty on all of us, preserve Islam for your next generations, like our earlier generations did for us. Because if you don't, then Allah will ask that in your houses kufr was brought, the seed of kufr was planted while you were alive. You let your son onto social media, Snapchat, TikTok, and you let the seed of kufr not just get planted, you allowed it to be watered. Allah will ask all of us. It's a time of happiness. And we congratulate the Hufaz, we congratulate the ulama and their teachers, and we congratulate this masjid and the community. But at the same time, it's a time for us to appreciate that now that we've made 4 Hufaz, what steps will I and you take to allow them to serve the community? I pray Allah Ta'ala protects us all. Allah Ta'ala blesses the people of this masjid. Wa akhiru da'wayan alhamdulillah.
کام کی باتیں آپ نے سنائی ہیں، یہ حقیقت ہے، اس میں کوئی شک نہیں ہے کہ اچھے اچھے لوگوں کی اولادیں جو ہیں وہ ہاتھوں سے نکل گئی ہے. اللہ تعالیٰ سب کے حال پر رحم فرمائے. ماں کا باپ کا کام ہے کہ وہ کوشش کرے، وہ اچھی صحبت میں رکھیں اپنی اولادوں کو، گھر کا ماحول بہتر بنائیں، اس کے بعد دعا کریں، اللہ تعالیٰ مہربانی فرمائے گا. تو ہماری اس محفل کے حصہ بنے ہیں ہماری عالم کلاس کے ایک عظیم استاد جو اولڈم کے ایک بہت بڑے ادارے کے پرنسپل رہے ہیں، اولڈم اسلامک کالج، جنہوں نے علماء تیار کی، معلمات تیار کی اور مساجد کو دی، یعنی انہوں نے کام کیا. وہ ہمارے لیے یعنی ہماری جو عالم کلاسز ہیں وہ ان کی وہ پڑھاتے ہیں، استاد ہیں. دوسرے ہیں مولانا بلاول صاحب، وہ کام کی وجہ سے نہیں آ سکے، تو مولانا نجم حسن صاحب کو بھی ویلکم کرتے ہیں. اللہ تعالیٰ ان کی علم و عمل میں برکت عطا فرمائے، اور جس محنت کے ساتھ وہ بچوں کو ٹائم دے رہے ہیں اللہ تعالیٰ قبول منظور فرمائے. پاس سے مختصر نعت ہوگی، میں طلحہ طارق کو کہوں گا کہ چند اشعار جو ہیں وہ پڑھیں، اس کے بعد شاہ صاحب کا بیان شروع.